That's Jeff. I'm Joel. This is Uncommon Sense. And today's topic is...
Don't be an ASKHole. And that's A-S-K.
Okay.
Hole.
Jeff, what is an ASKHole?
An ASKHole is somebody who asks for your advice, your knowledge. They know you've done something, so they ask you how you did it.
How did you do that? How did you do that?
What they could do, and they do nothing with it. That by itself doesn't make them an ASKHole. It's when they rephrase the question, and they come back to you again, and they say, let's say the question was, hey, how do I lose some weight? And you say, well, here's what worked for me. They come back to you another time and they say, hey, my pants aren't fitting that well. Do you have any suggestions for something I can do?
What can I do?
And you give them, maybe you tweak your advice and go, well,
you apply what you've learned and
maybe you've
give them
learned
the best
something in that time,
sure.
and you give them the best answer that has worked for you, and you're like, well, this is what's worked for me. I'm not
Right.
saying it works for everybody. Down the road, and I don't know, a month, a week, whatever it is, they ask you again. 3 times, and they are an ASKHole.
3 times a charm?
Not for me, it isn't.
So is it 3 times the magic number?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm ready to call him something else besides an ASKHole, because after the 3rd time, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Is my answer.
Well, let's go back, right? Hopefully the person is asking. Probably the first time the person is really asking for the right reason. I would hope. I would hope there's some truth in what they're asking
Right.
for. The second, the third, the 4th time is, and if they keep asking it, one, you haven't answered the way they want you to.
You haven't answered my question.
Good
You
point.
haven't validated their train of thought, so they're just hoping you're going to come along
No,
with the
that's
right
a great
answer.
point.
So,
Yeah, very good point.
or, right, they forgot that they've asked you. Third is they have no intention of doing anything with what they've asked you for. They just want to make sure that you know that they're thinking about it.
Right. Versus taking action on it. And you're right. It could be the first time they asked several people. And they were looking for something that fit them. And maybe what you gave them didn't fit. The second time, it could be they're hoping you kind of give the answer they want. Which is, hey, you know what? They want to eat a lot of donuts and watch Married with Children.
Married with Children? Awesome.
And if you don't give them that answer, they're going to keep asking until you give it. But the 3rd time, and as you said, it could be they want to have the perception that by asking questions about it, that they're doing something about it versus actually taking action. It's like, well, I'm doing something about it. Well, at what point are you really doing something? And at what point are you really just wasting people's time and trying to create this facade that, one day you're going to take action on all of these questions you've been asking about fitness or losing weight or whatever it is. I call that person an ASKHole. And
Again, A-S-K.
Yes. I have not slipped. I've said ask
Yes.
each time.
Yes, you have not slipped.
I have not. That is a pet peeve of mine. Is
When you slip?
No, it's when somebody
Okay.
asks me questions over and over and over.
And takes no action from it.
Right.
There's no improvement of it. You know that it went in one ear, out the other, and it was going to stop. Or worse, right? They've shaken up your answer, blame you for the result.
Oh, that's good.
That's
really good.
And it's like, I don't think that's what I said. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure about it.
I don't blame her, I blame you! I blame you!
Yeah.
No, when I asked you, Jeff.
When I talked to you and
Yeah.
you said, and they heard every 4th word and
Yeah.
they changed it and they're like, it's your fault that, I'm in prison now because you said...
You said rob a bank.
You said eat donuts and watch Married with Children, and then that, of course, led to robbing the bank. And,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, you do need donut money.
Well, you said something earlier, though, is that they didn't really listen to you. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. That makes me even madder, is if they ask me, and then they shut down and they don't pay attention to what was said. That makes them an even bigger ASKHole. I feel like that kid from Meet the Parents, the little kid that
that's
been
right.
and he's in the playpen and he says the ASS word, and then the little kid says that over and over. Yeah, every time I go, ASKHole.
Don't be an asshole.
That's what, ASKHole. Don't be an ASKHole.
I think an ASKHole really wastes everybody else's time. You know, they're filling up space. They're not expecting anything from this conversation. They don't want anything from this conversation. And we're not saying not to ask good questions and not to ask them of the people that probably have good answers, but to keep asking and asking and asking without any extra value placed in it, things that you're going to bring to the party, you know, things that you can show that you're using the previous answers, including disproving, right, what someone else has told you.
Right.
I think that's all valid. It is a problem. It's a problem because when you ask a question, someone else is kindly giving you their time that they can never get back, right? Giving you their gray matter into processing that question and giving you what their experience says is it. Regardless if their experience is good or bad, doesn't matter anymore. But they've given that to you. You know, here's the present. And then for you to go ask again and again and again and again, not processing any of those things, not appreciating any of those gifts that they gave you, is to me a tremendous problem. It's a tremendous time waster.
Don't waste my time.
Well, since you put it that way, it makes me think of it's disrespectful. They don't respect me enough. They don't respect my time that they feel they can just ask me over and over. As you pointed out, it could be that they are hoping for a different answer each time.
So to me, if you don't want to be an ASKHole, the other thing to do is ask yourself why you're asking.
Why am I asking you?
Oh, that's really good.
You know,
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what will you do with whatever they say? Start listening to your own words and who you're about to ask them to, and decide what you're going to go do with it. And if it's just to make you look good, that, well, I asked the boss and,
Yeah.
you know, don't do it. Because it doesn't defend you. If you still do it wrong, just assume that it's still going to be your fault. And if you do it right, just assume, you know, someone else might take the credit.
I'll take it a step further. If a friend of mine asks me the same thing over and over, which has happened, maybe they don't really value what I have to offer, and maybe they should ask themselves, why even hang out with this guy? Why are they coming to me? They don't value what I have to say, or else they would take action on it, or they wouldn't ask over and over. So perhaps they're hanging out. Why are they hanging out with me? Maybe I should be asking the question of them next time they ask the same question of me. Hey, what is it you want from me? Our goal here is to let you know, please don't be one of those guys. Don't be an ASKHole. And number two, if you have that kind of person in your life, you might need to kind of distance yourself from them, because Joel made the great point that you'll never get that time back. And if they just eat up your time with these questions that they never take action on, they don't respect what you say, in my opinion, because they would have done something about it, and they quit asking you over and over. You've got two things: don't be that person, and don't let that person into your life.
Yeah. I have a wonderful leader of mine at one time that says he never gives an opinion on things. He goes, because what happens when you give an opinion and they don't follow it? How will you feel?
That's a good point.
And I went, wow, you know, I hadn't thought about it. And he goes, so I don't give an opinion. Now, if you're saying what my answer is, how do you think I'll feel when you don't follow it?
How does that make someone feel?
So what can they do? You know, besides don't waste, make sure that you're not wasting someone else's time, yours or theirs, and that you're asking why you're asking, I think is tremendously introspective. And I think could actually change a lot of conversations. It won't even delay them if you just put that question in front of it, but it will value them tremendously differently. The words, when you get in front of an expert or, someone that you put on a pedestal, even a favorite teacher, a favorite friend, and they give you their words of advice, can you imagine if you could just say, wow, I know I was asking and I'm now going to listen? Because I think an ASKHole does not listen. I do think that someone that's truly looking to learn listens tremendously.
Just listen.
A person who takes the action to, or even just the process to go, why am I going to Joel and asking him for business advice? And if they go, well, because he has some experience I don't, and so when I ask him a question, I need to pay attention to what he says, and If he gives me an answer I don't understand, I need to ask for clarification. But if I just ask him and he gives me some good business advice, but I never take action on it,
Thanks for wasting my time, Andy.
Right. So I love the idea of asking, why am I asking that person? But if you're going to do that, then you're probably not going to be an ASKHole anyway. So,
agreed.
But if you find that you are, maybe that's how you cure it.
It's just so easy to waste people's time, and I think we're used to it. We'll write that quick message. Hey, can I ask you blank? And I'm not talking about, hey, I need a recommendation on the type of refrigerators, and you're getting a long list because you're looking for at least better reviews than what you're finding. I'm talking about something that's a tad bit more deeper. If I wanted to buy a new car and I didn't know what car to buy, I might go to someone that meets my same family dynamic. I.e., my bride and my two girls when they were younger. What should I buy, especially if I don't have a lot of experience with cars themselves? So I would go to Jeff because he actually has a tremendous amount of knowledge in cars, and he keeps up with all that nonsense, Motor Trend stuff, and I couldn't care less. So I would go, he'd give me a list of cars, which, by the way, he did.
He bought the car.
Yeah. I looked at it. We went test drive everything. We eliminated a bunch of them. We found out what we liked and didn't like. And then it came down to actually the car he thought I was going to go buy, and which was great. And it's been a great car. We totally enjoy it.
Everything's perfect.
Actually, I wouldn't go to Frank, who has no kids.
We don't like Frank.
Right? Who has no kids
Frank.
and has never been married. Doesn't understand that 4 people does not fit into a sports car with only 2 seats. And that would just be nonsense. So knowing who to go to when you're asking a valid question is really important. Just to ask it does put you on that side of being that, the word, that ASKHole.
It's almost just like the way you're presenting it there. It's almost just a conversation, just trying to keep a conversation alive.
This conversation?
It is alive.
Hey, Joel, what car, I have 14 kids. What car should I buy? And he says, a Miata. I love Miatas. Okay. Me too. Me too. Where are the kids going to be, though? Because I'm leaving in the Miata. Yeah. No, well, 14 kids. You're buying a school bus.
I'd like to discuss the new school bus.
And the people that are getting the questions asked of them need to ask the next question, which is, so we talked before, can you tell me before we even start, what have you done with that information? So what do you think, Jeff? Obviously, we're telling you, don't be an ASKHole.
Just don't be that person. And if you catch yourself being that person, do something about it.
Realize, don't waste your time, and don't waste their time of the person that you're asking. Ask why you're asking before you ever ask it.
Yeah.
What tremendous advice. And then listen carefully and act upon what they've said, including that advice won't work for me because it's fair to have that conversation at the beginning. Don't wait till you get home 5 weeks later just so you can ask again. Obviously, that's probably not the right person to ask.
Yeah.
Right? But we do hope you find someone that is good. You can always leave comments from this video down below, and if it's a good question and we're the right person to answer it, we'll be glad to answer it.
We'll do our best.
So this has been Uncommon Sense with Jeff and Joel. We'll see you in the next conversation.